And I'd also say be prepared that there's going to be wins and there's going to be difficulties. There's going to be the kiddo that you see 5, 10 years later that is doing so good that melts your heart. And you know that you helped make a change for that individual's life. And then there's going to be some more challenging situations where people don't see eye to eye. And just being prepared for that and knowing that if you're following the law and you're doing your best, things can probably be worked out. And just keeping that child in mind as to this is why we're here and this is what we're working on. But I think that being in the special ed realm is very rewarding. And I would encourage anyone that's interested to pursue it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Brighter Together podcast. My name is Janet Courtney, and my special guest today is Denise Rahe. Denise is a school psychologist at Colorado River BOCES in Parachute, Colorado. Denise, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So, Denise, tell her. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I wasn't going to say anything.
Oh, okay. Okay, so tell our listeners a little bit about you and about Colorado River BOCES.
Okay. So, as you said, I'm a school psychologist. I retired about 3 years ago. Previously, I was a special ed director for the Colorado River BOCES. And prior to that, director for one of our member districts. Prior to that, school psychologist. So I've come full circle. The BOCES covers multiple school districts, and BOCES stands for Board of Cooperative Educational Services. And they're set up around the state of Colorado in order to provide specialized services for rural districts, like psychs, speech, OTs. But over the years, the concept of the BOCES has expanded a little bit. Right now, the Colorado River BOCES covers the Parachute District, which is in Colorado called Garfield 16, and then also covers Garfield RE2, which is the towns of Rifle, Silt, and Newcastle. Additionally, the BOCES, we have our own alternative high school. We used to also cover more districts, but larger districts. As districts have gotten larger, they've pulled out and established their own administrative unit. So now we just cover 2 districts, but we have a little hands in a couple others, but just the 2 are fully in, if that makes sense. Oh,
Gotcha. Yeah.
yeah.
It makes sense that bigger schools, as they've gotten bigger, would be able to cover all those services on their own, right?
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh.
So you retired, and you went back to school psychology. So easier, better, different? What is it? What do you think? What would you say?
Maybe all of the above.
Okay.
Definitely, because I'm not working as much, for one thing. I'm part-time now, so that's
Okay.
nice. I have more flexibility in my schedule, which is what I wanted for my children. And I'm not dealing with the big problems or the big issues, not necessarily just problems, but I'm not dealing with those big arching developments and everything. Now I just go in, I get a list of kids that need to be tested. I'm only testing, and I just go and I test. I mean, I'm also consulting with schools, and um I help do FBAs and develop BIBs, behavior intervention plans, those kinds of things. And teachers, will ask me questions and consult with them to help them figure out next directions and things like that. But I'm not involved with the program development anymore. And so it is definitely less responsibility, which is exactly what I want.
Yeah, yeah. Being a director of special education is hard work. It really is very stressful and hard work for sure. For sure. So is it a little bit weird for you though? Like you used to be the one that was the director because it's the same BOCES, correct?
Yes. Initially, I think it was a little weird for everybody because they would ask me questions and everything, and I would be like, "Guys, I'm not the director anymore. You have to go ask, your director." Um, I'll say, "I'll tell you what the law says, but you need to check and see." Because in Colorado, we're a local control state. So each district can make decisions for themselves. And the rule of thumb is you have to follow the federal law, but you can be tighter than the federal law. So sometimes we're a little tighter in what we want paperwork wise and process wise. So that's why I say, this is what the law says, but you need to go talk to your director and find out if this is exactly or they're doing something a little differently. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting, and I'm sure because 'cause I'm the CEO of Lighthouse and my daughter, we're grooming her to take over, and I'm like, "When I leave, do I just cut that cord completely and, like, not I" but it's my baby, I've been the one from day one. She was there from the beginning, don't get me wrong, she's amazing, and I know when I completely pull out 100%, she'll do a great job too, but it's a hard balancing act to figure out you know, but I'm 6 or 7, 8 years from that now.
Yeah.
They
So you
they
got
keep
typecast.
teasing me saying, "Oh, mom,
Yeah.
you'll never retire." But who knows? I told
Yeah,
them, "Give me some grandbabies and I'll retire."
that's fair. Definitely. Is she also a speech therapist?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, actually, she is not. She's our COO right now.
Okay.
She does all of our billing and payroll and many, many other things and supports me and she'll tell everybody she's a glorified PA for me, but it's way more than that. So
Yeah.
but she does an amazing job, and it's something that just makes us a little bit different. We're totally a family owned and operated. We have other employees, obviously. There's 5 Courtneys, but
Oh, wow.
and actually, we're losing my youngest. He is actually going on to. He's in the Air National Guard, and his last day is in a month. So he's going to be in basic training and doing all of that. Yeah. So
Well, good for
so
him.
big changes there. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. He wants to
very.
fly. He wants to fly.
Oh, wow. Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So now that you're retired and you're only doing testing, what would you say to somebody who is considering either getting out and retiring like you did, or just getting started?
Well, if someone was just thinking about getting started, I would say, please, please, please do it because there is a
Yes,
national shortage of school
yes,
psychologists. And we've had to be creative in our districts. I mean, I think big cities, they're okay, but at least in the state, a lot of people, they want to work in Denver. They don't want to come up here. And so we have a hard time. In our districts, what we've done is we have social workers that they're in about two to three schools, and they provide the direct services. And then the school psychs, we do the testing. We've also trained the social workers to do social emotional testing, primarily the BASC. Um,
gotcha. Hmm.
yeah, but we do pretty much the um, other psycho educational type testing. The special ed teachers in our area do the academic testing, which helps.
Right,
That's not how it is everywhere, though. Um,
right. Hmm.
yeah. So right now, we we started out with well, right now we have one full-time psych and she does everything and she's just in one district. Then we have a part-time psych and she's retired too and came out and she does everything in that same district in the parachute district. And then myself and two other psychologists are also retired and work part-time and just do the testing. So right now, like 90% of the school psychologists that work within the Colorado River BOCES are retirees that have come back to help. Which is, I mean, it's not a bad deal because in Colorado you can double dip, so you can get paid and get your retirement.
Your
So
retirement benefits it, yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
which that's nice. And then because we're not tied to a specific school, we have more flexibility in our schedule and can say, okay, well, I'm going to get all these kid tested and then I'm going to be out of town for a few days. And so you can kind of, what you got to get done, when you have to get it done by and plan accordingly. Um, but if someone was thinking of getting into the profession, I would just really encourage them, because we do need more school psychologists. Because when I originally started, I was doing everything, providing services, doing all the testing, sometimes doing academic as well, not all the time, but you know, and that was a while ago. So we pretty much did everything with every child. That was the kind of the thought process back then. Now we've kind of gotten away from that. I mean, we don't have to give a cognitive to every child. Although lately I've seen the pendulum kind of swinging back to everybody wants a cognitive again. Um,
Mhm.
and so we definitely need more people in the field, and the recommendation is 1 in 500, which we're not even near that with our social workers, let alone us providing just the assessment piece. Um, there there is job security is what I would say
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
somebody. Your job is federally mandated and paid for with
Yeah.
federal money, so that's very different. It doesn't dip into the district's budget. Um, so there is definitely job security. I guess a con is that the pay, working in public education isn't always the highest. Um, but, there's usually ways built into the system to grow your salary. After you get so many CEUs, most districts will give you more money. Um, Continuing education units. Sorry for the viewers that aren't sure what all my acronyms mean.
That's good, thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah. But it's also very rewarding because you're making a difference in little ones' lives. And I mean, even just testing them I'm just so glad to still have that touch point with them, because they say the funniest things. I was testing this little one, I don't know, maybe a month or so ago. And I don't know if you've heard the new craze, but once I say it, you might know what I mean. Like, I was testing him and I said something about do 6 and 7. And he was like, 6, 7, 6, 7, 6, 7. And
Oh,
he was like
yeah.
5 years old. And I was like, you're kidding me with this, right?
There's a big difference between being supported by somebody who's walked in your shoes and someone who hasn't. At Lighthouse Therapy, our leadership team is made up of experienced clinicians who've actually worked in schools. We understand the pressure you're under and what real support looks like. That's why our therapy solutions, whether it be virtual, hybrid, or in person, are built with you in mind. No complicated systems or red tape, just streamlined support and seasoned therapists who are ready to make a difference. Learn more at lighthouse-therapy.com/brighter together. I don't know what it is, but I have heard of it. I'm just aging myself here. My kids brought it. We're talking about it a couple weeks ago, and I was like, I don't know what that is, but okay, whatever.
It's kind of funny for sure. They're kind of goofy. But yeah, I mean, so that made me laugh. I was like, okay, that's the funniest thing. I can't even believe this child has heard of that. But yeah. So
Well, and that's just it. Social media and all of the, access they have to anything that's electronic, computers and TVs and tablets and everything. It
Yes.
all changes the world that we live in, doesn't it?
100%. Yes, in many ways. Many ways positively, many ways negatively. But yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't it's and the thing is we're gonna have to learn how to figure it out and because it's not going away. We know it's like AI, it's not going away. We just have to learn how to use it productively for kids, I
Yes.
think, you
Yeah.
know. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Completely.
Um yeah. So, what would you say is one of your biggest challenges about not being specifically at the school all the time? I know the flexibility is great, and you have can make your own schedule and all this. But what would you say is a drawback?
Not having that day-to-day contact with the staff, you miss out on some things,
Yeah.
and sometimes I would say things get lost in translation through emails, and so,
Oh
like,
yeah.
10 emails down the road, you finally get to where you think, "Okay, we're both on the same page, we both understand," but, things like that, and we've created a system, as in we, the school psychologists, where we have a assessment request form that people fill out, and sometimes that doesn't always get done, and we'll get a email that says, "Oh, so and so's meeting is in 2 weeks," and we're all like, "Who's so and so? We didn't know that." So it's that
Right.
not that just in the hallway conversation of popping by
Hmm.
and going, "Hey, I'm just checking in. Where are we? What's up next?" So that's definitely a con.
I guess the next question would be, um, we talked about your challenges. We talked about the pros and cons of going into school psychology. How about being a director of special education? What would be some of your recommendations for somebody who might be looking into that?
I think the original reason that I went into being a director, and I think that if someone else has the same mindset, that's great. I just felt like I wanted to kind of do more, and hit things from a bigger picture, not just individual schools, individual students, and and make some systems changes is what I hoped would eventually happen. Um, and that's why I went into it. I think that if people want that bigger picture, um, and that amount of responsibility, that that's great because we need people. We need people um, in those positions. I would recommend that you have several years of special education experience in any way, shape, or form. But just within the field, not going from gen ed, getting your license, and then into special ed because it's very nuanced and there
Hmm.
are so many laws and there are so
Yeah.
many rules and so it can be overwhelming if you don't have that background already for it. Um, I and I'd also say, be prepared that there's going to be wins and there's going to be difficulties. There's going to be the kiddo that you see 5, 10 years later that is doing so good that melts your heart and and you know that you helped make a change for that individual's life. Um, and then there's going to be some more challenging situations where um, people don't see eye to eye. Um, and just being prepared for that and knowing that if you're following the law and you're doing your best, things can probably be worked out. And just keeping that child in mind as to this is why we're here and this is what we're working on. Um,
Yeah.
but I think that being in the special ed realm is very rewarding. Um,
Hmm.
and I would encourage anyone that's interested to pursue it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely it's not an easy job, but it's definitely rewarding. And you're right, there are days where you just feel like you're kind of banging your head against the wall, don't you? Like, ah, but
Yeah.
I think there's more good days and positives, especially if you're in it for a while, because just like you were saying, it's like seeing a child succeed that you work so hard to help is such a reward and such a it's almost like a adrenaline rush. You just go, "Yay!" It's like you just see that success, and maybe it's dopamine or something that you floods your system, and you just go, "Yay, I did it!" And
Yes,
and all of those things, and they keep us going, don't they? They really keep us going, for sure.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Denise, where can you give us where should people go if they want to learn a little bit more about Colorado River BOCES and if they wanted to ask you some questions, where would they go?
So we have a website, and it's C as in Colorado, R as in river, B as in boy, O as in orange, C as in cat, E as in Edward, S as in Sam. So crboces.org. They can go there. I believe my contact information is on there, but you
Great.
can also reach out to me at D as in Denise, and then my last name, R as in Ralph, A as in Apple, H as in Henry, E as in Edward. So it's D Ray at crboces.org.
There you go. Awesome. Awesome. Well, Denise, thank you for coming on the show and giving us your perspective and both sides of that coin. It was great to hear both sides of that coin as you've been a director, as you've been a school psychologist, as you've been full time, as you've been part time. It was really a great conversation. So keep up the good work. Keep doing what you're doing. Enjoy your retirement as much as you can. But I
Thank you.
praise you for helping out even when it's hard, so I appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me on. Thank you for spotlighting education in a positive way.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what we're brighter together for a reason, right? We are definitely brighter together. So, all
Definitely.
righty, great.
Definitely.